Can you give some people just a little bit of basic information on the 1031 and the DSTs, Deferred Sales Trust? Because I'm sure there's just a lot of people out there that are confused by it, or maybe you've never heard of it to start with.
Yeah, absolutely. So the first thing to understand is that the DST is not a Delaware statutory trust, which is just another form of a 1031 exchange. Our DST is a deferred sales trust. It's based upon IRC 453, which is known as a seller carryback, and we'll get more to that in a minute. The 1031 exchange is, well, I like to call it the blockbuster transactional way of doing things. So do you remember, Dan, going to Blockbuster on a Friday night and you want that movie, and about before you get that movie, somebody takes it right in front of you from that cardboard box, right? But even if you got that second movie that you want, you have to return it within 3 days. And if you didn't rewind it, you get a penalty. Well, I propose to you that that's the way that 1031 is. It's Blockbuster way of doing things, right? We know it. As agents, we know it. Our clients know it. But it's kind of broken in a lot of ways. And the biggest way is with timing, right? We call it the shotgun wedding. Get engaged in 45 days and overpay or get married in 180, right? Our parents taught us to sell high, Dan, and buy low. They teach us to sell high and buy higher with more debt, more liability, more tenants, toilets, and trash, and a deal that we wouldn't have bought if it wasn't for the capital gains tax. So the premise is this: most high net worth individuals and those who help them, they struggle with capital gains tax, and it's somewhere between 30 and 50% of their gain. So we use this deferred sales trust, this Netflix way of doing things, to not only give them capital gains tax deferral, but also the ability to diversify their investments, get out of debt, get liquidity, and then buy at optimal timing. The best deal story for that is a gentleman who sold a property in 2006. Okay, and this is the single story why I started my company. And so my business partner now, he goes, Brett, yeah, we got a client. It's worth a couple $100 million. I go, oh, that's really cool. Well, what did he do for the deferred sales trust? Well, he sold a property in Minnesota for $20 million, and he had a huge tax. And he's looking around. This guy hates the stock market. He's a commercial real estate guy, and he goes, I can't find a deal that makes any sense. I'm going to use this deferred sales trust. I'm going to defer the tax. I'm going to park it in there. Well, 5 years later, the bank calls him up and says, hey, we just foreclosed on the property that you sold to that high price buyer before. We're just curious, would you like to buy it back? And he goes, well, maybe what's the price? And they said, well, about 60 cents on the dollar. He goes, that sounds like a pretty good deal. So he reallocated the investments out of stocks, bonds, and mutual funds into an LLC, and then he bought the property all tax deferred. Okay, and he bought it at 60 cents on the dollar, not using a 1031. And so when I heard that story, I said, this will change everything forever. If enough agents know about this, right? This is the Netflix way of doing things, right? We can sell high and buy low. We can sell high and wait for a deal to hit us over the head, not chase deals with a hair on fire, right? And pay a bunch of tax. Now, let alone also realize that the 1031 exchange, it only works for investment property, just a small sliver. It doesn't work for cryptocurrency. We're doing a $5 million cryptocurrency sale and doing another $10 million deal. And these folks they bought it at $100,000 and they're deferring all the tax. And as a part of that, they have a huge gain. And we're going to defer it all, but they're going to use the funds to go buy investment real estate and get cash flow. So I'll pause there because you might have some questions.
You have just listened to another information-packed episode of Capital Gains Tax Solutions with Brett Swarts. We hope you enjoyed today's show and found it helpful. Visit capitalgainstaxsolutions.com to access the show notes and to access more resources. Don't forget to leave a review and join us again next time.